Welcome back once again here on the Roundtable, talking about summer entertainment, what we have to choose from here in the Toledo area. And now we're going to switch our focus more to the movies that we all have come to love here in Northwest Ohio. And over the last year, man, look at these numbers. 2014 really down from 2013. In fact, Kirk brought it up. Kirk Barrett from the Toledo Blade brought it up in our first segment. Down 20% at this point since last year. Only almost $3 billion in ticket sales, but 2013 really brought in the cash because, once again, Kirk, of those blockbusters. Kirk Barrett, as we said, joining us from the Toledo Blade. Glad to have you here on the Roundtable. You and I were talking about it in the break. The blockbusters of the summer, you used to see 4th of July weekend, you used to always have that huge release, whether it be, go back to the 70s and Jaws, coming out. I think Memorial Day weekend was a Jaws release kind of time frame, but Will Smith, Tom Cruise, big names from yesteryear that we have to call that now. But this year, and I'm going to go to our internet here, we got Tammy, which was the big July 4th release. Why? Why is Hollywood doing this to us?
Well, I think part of it was that the new Transformers film opened the week before. So I think there was kind of a reluctance, like, well, this thing's going to be a monster, let's...
Transformers is.
Transformers.
Not the Melissa McCarthy movie.
Yeah. Well, it was a beast of a different kind.
Yes.
And so, it was almost sort of like counter-programming. Well, let's have, a comedy. And her film last year, Heat, with Sandra Bullock, was huge. It was a really funny movie. Unfortunately, Tammy was not funny. Mm-hmm. I thought it was predictable. I thought she was playing the exact character she's played really in her entire film career. She co-wrote with her husband and who directed the film, so they've got no one to blame but themselves.
Right.
But this is the funny thing about this, and it's maybe kind of sad in a sense that Tammy was made for $20 million. Which nowadays isn't a whole lot for a summer film, but because of its low budget, it's made money. Worldwide, it's made $85 million, and about 80 of which was domestic haul. So even though the film tanked,
movie studios loving it.
They loved it because it's like, well, it was cheap and it made us money.
Yeah.
So that's what matters.
Let's talk about some of those favorites that you saw this year. One of them you pointed out was the X-Men. The timing of it, the new X-Men film, the timing of it I question, because if you've got such a genre that is so, I guess, has made an impact, they have made so many movies in this realm, why wait and why not wait and flip-flop with a movie like Tammy and have that be a big 4th of July release?
Well, again, part of it is, studios are all kind of looking like, all right, well, let's get it early in the summer, and then it'll kind of play. It'll have a longer play, hopefully.
What was strong about this?
What was strong about it was, that Bryan Singer was back to direct it, mm-hmm. And it was also that it's source material, that they followed a comic book storyline that was very popular. Fanboys loved it, and it was also really interesting.
You've written some pieces about Tom Cruise, and we said that name used to be synonymous with big budget releases. He brought out The Edge of Tomorrow this year, and you liked it.
No, loved it. I loved it. Unfortunately, I was one of the few people who saw it.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, as I was saying, Tom Cruise, this was kind of a defining moment for him as, a box office attraction. His films, really, since the whole, the couch moment on Oprah Winfrey, mm-hmm. since going on the Today Show with Matt Lauer, you see
and the whole Scientology, yeah.
You see a noticeable decline in his box office take. Other than his Mission Impossible movies,
yeah.
He hasn't had a $100 million film. And this one, which was, I want to say was budgeted like nearly $200 million off the top of my head.
No kidding?
I think so. Maybe 150 to 200 million. Somewhere.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And it hasn't even made $100 million here. He's done a lot of
sci-fi lately, too.
He's done, and that's part of it, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Action sci-fi movies. That's how people, and this was a great movie. It was a great performance. And, he's become sort of like a pariah. People just...
Did the word get out there? It was like Groundhog Day with Tom Cruise?
I think, but that was really kind of underselling the film. There was so much more to it. That's a quick way to summarize the film, but there was it was much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And it frankly, it deserved to do much better at the box office.
A couple of the other things I wanted to bring up, the new Planet of the Apes. Once again, we don't see sequels, we don't see prequels. These are kind of in themselves brand new, yes?
Yeah, and it's the whole idea of 20th Century Fox. Okay, hey, what do we have? What movies can we reboot that already have that kind of name recognition? We don't have to promote them nearly as much, and we can make a really big franchise with this. And so that's what they did. I mean, they relaunched the Planet of the Apes franchise a couple years ago. It did surprisingly well, and this one, it was a much better film, and it's done much better at the box office. So I'm really excited about this. I'm actually thinking they've got this one in good hands, and I'm looking forward to what directions they take with this.
You know what we really haven't talked about is, and what we're not showing is, Maleficent was the Disney release this year, the big one, and we didn't see that Pixar film. We didn't see a lot of kids fare like we have in summers past. I know, sitting at home, I've got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and my wife and I have looked through the paper trying to figure out, or looked online figuring out, well, there's really nothing to take the kids to this weekend.
Yeah,
You notice that?
Yeah, no, I've had this conversation with some friends of mine. They were going to take our daughters out, and they asked me, what movies? And I said, well, there's really nothing out there.
Yeah.
Other than How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Right.
Which they'd already seen. Yeah, it's really kind of surprising. And I'm not really sure why. I mean, I think it's maybe just kind of sort of an accident. I think maybe just things weren't ready yet. Pixar decided, you know what, we're not ready for film, so we're not going to, we don't want to push our films because they're not ready, so let's hold off in 2014. I believe they've got a couple films next year to kind of make up for it. I mean, there's Planes,
Right.
or the new Planes movie, which talk about straight to video. There's no reason for that film to be in theaters, other than as a quick cash grab.
The original Planes was supposed to go straight to video, was it not?
Yeah.
I thought I had heard a report saying that.
Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah.
And they just decided, you know what?
And it
hey,
tested well.
Yeah, it tested well. Hey, we can release it. We can make, several $1 million extra.
Yeah.
Why not do it?
We just showed a clip of Guardians of the Galaxy, which everybody is kind of, I guess Hollywood's kind of putting all their hope on this release this weekend. Why is it? You saw it. What'd you think?
I liked it. I didn't love it. I kind of maybe dial down your expectations a little bit. It's still a lot of fun, but it's definitely not the Marvel kinds of movies that we're used to. There are no superheroes in this. There are a few of the same villains that are going to play out later on in the Avengers films, or allegedly.
Yeah.
But it's different. It's set in space. It's a big sci-fi action adventure. It's a lot of fun. It takes a while to get its momentum going. Once it does, though, then it takes off.
You wanted to talk about, and I wanted to bring up as well, because, and I don't have the trailer pulled up for us, but the movie Boyhood, which is coming out soon, and it was shot over a span of 12 years. How do you do that?
With a lot of commitment and love. They basically, so Linklater had this idea. He found the director, Richard Linklater, who's from Texas, found the perfect. I mean, he could not have cast it any better.
The premise of the story is
basically, it's just 12 years in a boy's life, and we literally watch this 7-year-old boy grow into a 19-year-old man. It's just, and it's not structured in your traditional kind of a 3-act script. It's just sort of like that's the story. The story is the outline. A boy grows up, but it's just moments. It's sometimes they're kind of really serious, dramatic moments that you can tell just instantly impact his life, and sometimes there's just little things that happen to him that somehow or another are going to shape him into who he becomes.
This is smelling low budget to me. I haven't looked at the numbers, so it can't help but succeed.
Oh, low budget, and there's such buzz about this, and deservedly so. You've never seen a film like this because there's never been a film like this. It is phenomenal. And unfortunately, it's not playing in Toledo. Don't understand it. My column,
it's
on
out
Friday.
right now?
It'll be out, Friday. We released in Detroit on Friday.
Yeah.
Next Friday, it's Ann Arbor. And as of right now, it's still not playing in Toledo.
And no plans to get it here, or are you hearing
To my knowledge, nothing.
Yeah.
Everything that I've seen, no.
There were breaks in the filming of the film to kind of, I mean, ding dong, check in. Can we come in and film and see how your week's going?
What they did was they worked around everyone's schedule, and so they would film, basically a couple weeks during each year.
Ethan Hawke in this?
Ethan Hawke in it, Patricia Arquette, and so they would just kind of drop in. Okay, my schedule's open up. Yeah, I can do this. So they would all get together.
Who's
they would
the
shoot.
kid?
The kid. I'm blanking out. Just an ordinary. He had never done anything. I mean, a couple small things, but nothing nothing prominent.
But they found him at 7 and,
but they
and
found him at
decided,
7
we're going to follow you.
and said, you know, we want to make this commitment. And you know, you're going to be playing a character, although you suspect the character is modeled a lot after what he's going through.
Yeah.
And in fact, Linklater said, you know, he found out the kid wasn't really into Star Wars, so he incorporated a scene where they talk about he and his dad, played by Ethan Hawke, talk about Star Wars. He's into photography, so the kid becomes into photography. You know, for all the people who say, oh, these horrible films this summer, go see Boyhood. It's a movie you just can't imagine. You've never seen anything like it. It's wonderful.
Why is Netflix working?
It's working because for convenience. People love the convenience. You know, certainly, obviously, it's more affordable than going to movies. I don't have to get up out of my living room. I can eat food here.
$8, $9 for a month.
I can pause and get up to go do whatever I want to do. So yeah, those are. But the thing about Netflix is that, like, for example, I was writing a story on films of World War I, and I went to Netflix, and every movie that I wanted to see, or that I'd already seen but I wanted to, you know, get caught up on again, they weren't available.
Yeah.
None of them were available. I ended up going to the library.
And do you think that's something that has to get better over the years?
Yeah, but then again, that's also studios. Studios decide, okay, you can have these movies, but we're going to take these other movies away.
Kirk, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Good conversation. We'll be back right after this.